Hello, class. Just wanted to touch bases with you this week as things are getting a little more complicated with the graphics for the moon lander. We're going to be using the OpenGL libraries, and so you have to have some sort of visual component running to be able to do these things. So there's some different options for you to choose from to get things to work. You can, option one, there's the virtual machine that will simulate the server version of Linux with all the environmental variables and everything installed, so it'll act just like the server. The second one is using PuTTY, MobaXterm, configuring it for graphics. Third, there's an Xcode option for Mac and a Visual Studio option for Windows. The only one I'm going to focus on today is the first option for the virtual machine. So even if you're able to get any of these other methods working, I would encourage everyone to try to get the virtual machine working somewhere. And even if you develop it somewhere else, I would copy your files and your program into the virtual machine through FileZilla and see if it runs properly. So that'll be kind of your test to see if it's going to run properly on the server, because the virtual machine is just kind of a snapshot of what the server looks like. So in order to get the virtual machine working, you first need to get the VirtualBox installed. There's a download for Windows, Mac, and Linux. Get one of those downloaded and see if you can get that installed. Okay, and then the next part, then you need to give yourself plenty of time for this. It's a fairly large file. It's like 1.6 gigabytes or somewhere around there. Is you need to grab the actual virtual image file. Okay, and you click here to download that link, and it's going to take a little bit of time. Okay. Once you have that file downloaded, I've done it a few times apparently. Let's see if we can see how big that file is. .67 gigabytes. So that is a very large file. So might take you a long time depending on how fast your internet is for that. So give yourself some time. But once you get that, you can either double click on it here, and it should open up with the VirtualBox, or you can go to the VirtualBox's import menu and import it and find it that way. But for me, it was easier just to click on it. Okay. The default should work just fine for you. It should be a 32-bit Ubuntu machine with a little bit of RAM. All the defaults should be just fine. And then you can import that, and it takes a little bit of time. All these steps take some time. Once you get it installed, it should show up as a machine over here on the left, and that's a machine you should just be able to start. Now, a lot of people have hiccups along the way, and hopefully we can help each other on the discussion boards to figure out the different errors, but every machine is different, and it seems like there's new errors that pop up every semester. So let me know if you really get stuck. Okay, it may take a minute or two for your Ubuntu desktop to load with the VirtualBox, but once it's running, it's fairly useful. If you got a fair amount of RAM on your computer, it should work okay. What you want to do first is you want to get your files downloaded from the server onto this virtual desktop so you can run them. You can see I have them right here. I'll show you how I went about doing that. You want to open up FileZilla on the virtual machine. Okay, and this is a part where the instructions kind of veer off and they're not very clear. But all you need to do is click on this top left link there, the Open Site Manager. Go ahead and click on that, and we get this Site Manager window. And you'll just use your BYU Idaho user login. You'll use the IP address of the server. Don't forget to use port 215. And you should be able to log in directly like that. You say connect, and you should be able to connect to the server. And then over here on the remote site, you should be able to access the folder for, is that right? CS165 new, sorry. You should be able to access the folder on the server here, and then over on the left, that's the local site, you probably want to throw things onto the desktop. So you could go into the server file, find the Moonlander, and drag that over to the desktop. Now be very careful you drop it into the right place. I've had some weird errors with students dropping it into the wrong places. You see I've done this already, so I'll just overwrite what I had. It's my starter. And I also gave you a file, a .out file. Let's see, minimize that. I also gave you a moonlander.out file in the announcements page. You should be able to download that, and you might need to upload that to the server, and then you can download it from the server onto your virtual desktop. It's a little bit tricky getting things from your computer to the virtual desktop. You kind of have to go through the server to get it onto there. But once you get moonlander.out, you should just be able to double click it and run it and see what you're up against. Okay. So this week you're pretty much just getting the basics started. You won't have your full game going yet, but this is the goal of where we're going. So with the milestone, if you can get the Moonlander showing, get the mountains showing, and get the platform to randomly create in a different place each time, I think that's all you'll need to do. So the milestones are just kind of suggestions of pacing of how you get these projects done, but feel free to just get the Moonlander project done as fast as you can. And I hope all goes well.